Good morning, friends. Good morning, nations. Good morning, the house of CCI. Wow. We're here in the desert trying to get into the promised land. We've left Egypt. We're in the desert trying to get into the promised land. The desert is the Sun Air School. The 10 spies have already gone in and checked everything out. They've came back and they gave the report. First dimension of the report, what was it? That is exactly what God promised. Second dimension of the report is, even though it's exactly as God promised, there's giants and walled cities there. You and I already know what giants and walled cities are. This promised land is about life itself. Every life has giants. Every life has walled cities. Every life will have, you don't run into them every day, but in every life there'll probably be 3, maybe 4 times that you have to face these things that seem so insurmountable. But Joshua and Caleb did not listen to the bad report. They already knew who their father was, and so they knew what the father had, so that they knew who they were, and they knew what they had. So they understood, and they understood this phrase that Jesus will literally use later. You know, if you can understand what is here on the table, if you can understand the resources, if you can understand resurrection, if you can understand righteousness, well, then you understand that everything is possible. And so those are the symbolisms that are tied up, and those are the truths that they're learning inside the desert. Now, what happens? So these 10 leaders have not figured it out. These 10 leaders didn't go pick up the manna. These 10 leaders didn't follow the cloud. These 10 leaders didn't answer the 4 questions. And so what has happened? Now the time has come to lead the people. This is what is so powerful about leadership. If the leaders can lead, the people can be incredibly blessed and go to dimensions after dimensions. But if the leaders can only make small conclusions. Now, what we were talking about last time is, in Genesis 1:26, the image of God was put in the man. In Genesis chapter 3, the man and the woman lose the image. So really, this time in the desert was about rediscovering what we already are, rediscovering what God has done, rediscovering that we can restore the image. And if we can restore the image, we can restore the fruitfulness, we can restore the multiplicity, we can restore the overcoming, we can restore the lordship. And so what is happening is, as we're going into the promised land, these are the truths that we're facing. But somebody did not figure out who the Father was and who they were in the Father. And so what happens? And this is what they said. We see ourselves as grasshoppers in our own eyes. Now, that is why they can't possess their future. They can't possess their future, in putting it in a secular term, because of a wrong self-image. What they have believed about themselves is way too low, is way too small, is way too insignificant, is totally inferior from what God always had planned. And so all of a sudden now, because of the lack of their conclusions, because of the lack of them believing what the Lord had told them, now not only are they in problems, but everybody who's following them is in problems. That's what happens in a lot of families. That's why you need to insist that the head of your household be involved in a very aggressive, spirit-filled church. Why? Because if he's not, limited things are what's coming to you guys. Limited understanding is what's coming to you guys. So you, if you're a woman or anybody else, you want to push the dad, the leader of the home. Hey, let's be involved in a spirit-filled biblical church and stay with it. Why? Because it's the only way you can really jump out and do or participate on this level. And so they said, we see ourselves as grasshoppers. And because of this bad self-image, what? They limited, and they basically could not possess what God had already given them. Imagine, not possess what is already yours. Now, they said a second thing, and to me this is equally terrible. They said, we see ourselves as grasshoppers. And then they said, and that's the way they all see us. Another terribly powerful truth is this. People generally see us, society generally sees us as we see ourselves. If we don't believe we're significant, if we don't believe we have strength, if we don't believe we have a message, if we don't believe we have a vision, if we don't believe we have a future, something becomes very clear. We don't. And everybody else becomes very clear as well. Now, you and I are in a different situation. We have a message. We have a vision. We have a Father. We have resources. We have a kingdom. This is who we are. And this is why we've spent a little time in the desert, the Sun Air School, so that everything becomes possible. Isn't that fantastic? Bless you, bless you, bless you as you understand these wonderful things. Check you later.